You know what we like to say when we see a game go that way and you end up winning? You like to say ball don't lie because that's exactly what it felt like today, and that was ridiculous. We're going to get into all of it right now. So basically, from the jump, you knew exactly what you were getting from Atleti, and it was miserable, especially after they scored in the 45th minute. But for the most part, it looked exactly like the Real Madrid versus Atleti match earlier this week, and it was a struggle fest. But Atleti, I think, had .06 xG up until the 43rd minute until they scored, and it was great work from Simeone and Julian Alvarez, who were clinical. They linked up well, and they counterattacked very well. They did exactly what you expect Atleti to do well. They sat in their shape very solidly. However, man, it just unfolded from there. It really got crazy. Barcelona's second goal that they conceded to Atleti was it was terrible. It was a clear handball from De Paul. It was his hand was outstretched above his leg in like here, and they didn't call it. It was like 15 seconds before they ended up scoring. Apparently, he played advantage, and it was still in Barcelona's possession. I didn't see him hold his hands up and say I'm like playing on, but whatever. They showed like one replay of it, which is also ridiculous. But I don't really care now. I think it actually heated them up, and then it turned Lewandowski on, who played terribly until that minute and scored then one of the best goals. And we've seen him do that a couple times when Barca's struggling. He just flips a switch, goes crazy. You got to make this guy angry, man, because that was one of the best goals I've seen, and that helped change the game for this team. Incredible job from Lewandowski right there. And then from there, it really unraveled to Hansi Flick making some incredible subs that surprised me and most of the guys in chat today. And then even further through that, just going crazy, getting very fortunate, I'd argue. But then I think most of Atleti's goals that they do score come from counterattacks, which I would argue aren't necessarily always high chance situations. Balls have to bounce a certain way. I think Atleti were just surviving today on winning the second ball every single time a ball was booted forward. That was leading to a lot of chances. Barcelona kind of created enough to justify, I think, scoring three. I mean, or four, actually, with Ferran Torres' last goal there at the end. It was a head-to-head match. It went crazy, went both ways. I think you could say either team deserved to win. I don't really think Atleti deserved to win. Actually, yeah, they had a lot of chances too. It could have gone either way, and I think you could have argued for both ways. But Atleti ball, man, is so difficult to watch. Let's just go right into the ratings, though, because I can walk through the way the game went a little bit from there. For starters, Szczesny, I didn't think he was great. I think on both of the goals, I probably would have asked for a little bit more. It's not as great as performance. He conceded two. That's not a great performance from a keeper. I think on the ball he was probably fine, though he did make some choices with his passes that I think played into Atleti's press a little bit more than maybe Ter Stegen or even Iñaki Peña would. So not his best work today by any stretch of the imagination. Overall, though, I think he did make it one or two saves, I believe, if I recall correctly. Not the worst. I'm going to give him like a 5.5 for that. And then the back line, I think it was all around pretty meh from most of them. Koundé got an early yellow card, which sucks, and then made a couple good tackles, right, but did very little going forward, I would argue. And there's something with Atleti where they are able to play around pressure pretty well. Usually they play it up the line. They give it to a fullback or a center back wide. They play it up the line, and then the line, whoever's up the line, drags their man with them, and then they usually have whoever the forward player covers them as well, and they wait until that player comes, and then they chip it in between the two to a midfielder waiting for it. That's how they broke Real Madrid's press every single time. They kept doing it to Koundé and Balde for a little while, but I feel like they were less successful today. I think Barcelona handled it a little bit better than Real Madrid did, and I think Atleti looked a little bit less good, you could just say, on the ball today. But they still made it difficult. I think Barrios and De Paul both had really good games. Lino and Reynildo and Lenormand are tough guys to watch because they're diving like crazy. Not to say guys like Lamine don't dive, but it's just frustrating to watch sometimes. You know what I mean? It happens. It's kind of this game, but I don't know. This referee was just all over the place. And then with that second ball going in, that was very clearly a yellow card, handball, offense for a ball that's going into a dangerous field of play. I don't know, whatever. And then they scored off of it. I was so confused at what was going on. ESPN sucks, and I really am not happy with the way their production goes on. And they didn't show it at all again, basically, and they didn't show the wider play. So these guys are just talking nonsense about things they don't care about. Yet every single time something happened for an Atleti player, they were showing, like when Koundé fell on Reynildo, when Reynildo flew under him and Koundé just accidentally stood on him as he was coming down, they showed that like 3 times. It's just weird. Moving forward, I'm going to give Koundé like a 6.5, maybe a little bit more than that. Same for Kubarsi. I think he was okay, but he made some weird passes, gave the ball away in dangerous positions, and wasn't, I would argue, not phenomenal defensively today. And, we saw him try to get a little bit more into the play offensively in the second half, where he's playing in the ball in to Pedri a few more times. We saw it work once in the first half, and then Pedri headed it to nobody. I think a 6.5 or 7 is probably fair. Inigo Martinez was fantastic today. Ended up getting an assist for the goal to Lewandowski, which was just a great, incredible job from Lewandowski there. I really can't get over that, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to give Inigo Martinez an 8. I really think he was good today. He was putting some crunching tackles in. He was holding that high line really well, where he was usually the deepest man, but he read it, and he stepped up, made a play, made it get offside, and was my guy today. He was fantastic. Balde, I kind of a similar story to Koundé, where I think he was more threatening going forward. He had to be, because he had no support really from Rafinha. Rafinha was like so deep for much of the game that it was tough, and he got a yellow card as well, kind of just tackled Simeone. It's not an easy task against them, but still, you want more from Balde. He's had such a good season. And in possession, too, where he would break into space, he'd have a little bit of a loose touch and give the ball away. It was really hard to keep the ball in the midfield of Atleti at all, but you still want more from your player. You're still going to be a little critical of him. I'll give him a 7, maybe a 6.5 for that as well. And then we get to the midfield. I'm going to give Castro a 6.5. I really don't think he was great today. I think he made some good tackles, but outside of that, I think he was just out of his realm here. He's very clearly not as good on the ball as Frankie, and Frankie had to sit out of this match because there was a little bit of discomfort going on with his stomach or something. Should be fine, but he had to miss today, and this, I think we could have used his control today. Even if he's maybe a little bit worse defensively, he probably is, but he's faster than Castro. I think he's more of a imposing player, which is weird to say considering how intense Castro can be at times. I don't think Castro was great on the ball. I don't think he was very helpful on the ball in ways that I think Frankie would have, and we saw that loss today. He still did make some good tackles, though, so I think for that reason, 6.5 is fine. Pedri, not his best game. I think this was his worst game so far this season. He ended up getting an assist for Lamin's goal. Pedri was better in the second half and later parts of the second half when the team brought in the subs and the whole game changed. But again, we'll get into the subs and rating Hansi in a bit. But it wasn't his best work. Pedri gave the ball away a couple times. And I think Barrios and De Paul are really good, and they played really well. And then the support from Griezmann there's a lot of intensity there, and Barcelona also struggled to really win the second ball whenever the ball was booted forward or there was like a 50-50 ball that then got booted into the air. These guys struggled to win the second ball, and every single time it fell to an Atleti player, and they were creating from there, and it was tough. And also they really couldn't stop any counterattacks early from Atleti. That changed into the second half. Pedri got a little bit better. Everyone got better at collecting those balls. That took a little bit of possession away from Atleti and a little bit of threat away from them as well. And even though they continued to create a little bit, just looking at the difference that they created in the second half here, they were much less threatening. They created still 0.59 XG. I think Sorloth threw that game a little bit for them, not going to lie. But to the 0.77 XG they created in the first half, which was only 0.06 before that Julian Alvarez chance in the 43rd minute. It's still a little bit more than I would have liked, but they only had 3 shots on goal and 1 big chance. Not too bad when Barca had 9 shots on goal and 0.88 XG. So we'll keep moving up the pitch, though. I'll give Pedri a 7.5. He did end up getting that assist, but I think it's a little fortunate. It wasn't his best game, though. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Same for Dani Olmo and Lewandowski and Rafinha. I'm going to do Olmo and Rafinha separately. I think both of them struggled. That central channel is really difficult to have any possession around Atleti. It's just really hard to do anything there against them. And they looked all but useless most of the time. Or mostly useless a lot of the time. They really had trouble linking up with Lamin and Lewandowski and the other runners in behind. They couldn't make that 1-2 play that they've tried a lot. And it's partially because Atleti are so good at it, but Dani Olmo didn't look great. I think a 6.5 is probably where I'm at for him. And then Rafinha, I would have said that as well, but you got to give him more than that. You got to give him probably like a 7, even though he struggled for a while, didn't really affect the play a ton, and had to come deep to even get on the ball for a lot of the first half. That assist to Ferran Torres was a really good ball in. It was a really good ball in that, again, helped bring the game level, change the game a little bit, bring a little bit of intensity. And he was running around a lot, putting a lot of energy that we needed into it at the end there, and helped us. He actually won the ball back for Ferran Torres' last goal for the 4-2. He didn't get an assist for that, according to SofaScore. I think he should have, probably. But it is what it is. Not the best performance, not the worst performance. I think a 7 is probably where I'm at. Lamine Yamal, I think he's probably my man of the match. To score that there, I know it's a deflection, but he had so much trouble creating space and was constantly double-teamed or was getting fouled a little bit. They were putting a lot of tackles in, and they were kind of getting ignored for much of the game. But, you know, that always happens to these guys. And I thought Lamine, to have the mental toughness to put a decent strike on the ball and put it into a dangerous spot in that position, yes, it's lucky. Football is a weird game like that. People have to get lucky sometimes, and today we were. And I think to score that there, whew, Lamine, man, my boy, he's coming on to ESPN FC right now. I want to hear if he's speaking English. No, he's not speaking English. Okay. Yeah, just great performance from him overall to score that goal and to, you know, just see all the boys sliding in there. I lost my mind, and I think all you guys probably did too. I didn't think we were going to win, and they did. And part of that was because I thought Lewandowski was terrible in the first half. I really thought he was really bad. Like, not bad, really bad. Like, it couldn't affect the play, couldn't do anything, couldn't link up with his teammates, couldn't hold the ball. And, man, again, it has to do with Atleti clogging that area so well, getting that second ball off of him, and basically Lenormand falling on him and with him every single time he got the ball into him. And, you know, it works most of the time. It got called a little bit today, but Lewandowski scored an insane goal that turned this game around, deserves a lot of credit for that. And I will give him a 7 because I think if he doesn't score that goal, we lose this game. So I'm going to give him a 7. 6 of those points, though, are because of that goal. I think he was okay in that at the end of the game there, helping us, hold possession a little bit, win some fouls, and do okay there. But yeah, I think everybody was calling for Ferran Torres to come in, and I understand why. And then we're going to get into Hansi Flick's choices now here, because Hansi Flick didn't sub on Ferran Torres at the beginning of the second half while everyone was calling for it. Literally everyone in my chat was screaming, bring on El Tiburon, get this guy out of here. I'm so done with Lewandowski. And I understand that. You know, he had a really bad game. Hansi Flick had some other thoughts, kept them all on. And then until the 67th minute, that's about 7 or 8 minutes after Atleti made their changes for Sorloth and Gallagher to come on. And Ferran Torres came on for Dani Olmo, actually, instead of for Lewandowski. But we saw Ferran Torres then take up more of that left side responsibility. He was playing more as a left winger, while Rafinha shifted over, double-teamed on the right with Lamine, helped Lamine get into a little bit more space. I think that helped to lead to both Ferran's first goal, which was a cross from Rafinha, who probably wouldn't have had the space over there to make that cross if Lamine wasn't helping him, and for Lamine to score his goal because he probably wouldn't have had enough space there, again, if Rafinha weren't supporting him. So I like seeing the two of them work together. I think it's getting better and better as the season goes. And then Eric Garcia came on for Casado, who put on some good tackles. I mean, I think it's a similar story to Balde, where Garcia would make a good tackle and win the ball and then take a touch into space and lose it. So these guys got to calm a little bit there. There was a lot of pressure on them, but they figured it out. I'm going to give Hansi Flick an 8 for really solving those problems there, and then bringing on Gerard Martin with Araujo. I thought it was a stroke of genius because we were still under a little bit of pressure from Atleti, and they were counterattacking a little bit. Sorloth really threw it today, but you know, he's not the best. He's not the best striker in the world for a reason. And he's been on fire a little bit, so I'm not surprised he missed some chances. But I think we got lucky and a little fortunate with those. But I think we also got unfortunate with the other goal. So it's not that big of a deal. But Araujo and Martin were good. I think Araujo did all but very little. I don't even know if he touched the ball once. But having his body there as a little bit of reassurance is good at right back for Koundé. And then having Gerard Martin back there as well, not only is he linking up very well, he might even link up better in close control at least with connection with Pedri and Ferran Torres, better than Balde, but he also defends pretty well and looked solid today for sure. And just the boys turning it around like that. Then Gavi came in, did a diving header. I was like, this is a dream come true. And then Ferran Torres scored a fourth, and it was crazy. But to win this game against a team like Atleti, who just did what they did against Real Madrid, they got unfortunate. It ended unfortunately. But knowing what Atleti can do and how decent form they're in right now, to do that feels good. To do that feels really good. And that's how you win La Liga. You keep doing things like that in big games. You find a way to win. You find a way to get 3 points. Now technically we're ahead of Real Madrid now, and we have a game in hand. Love to see that. And we do have a break now. There is the Copa Catalunya on Wednesday, I believe, but that's usually a B team kind of game. And so I wouldn't expect any starters to play. At least definitely none of the international players. They're all going to be going on break or doing their thing. Let's go, boys. Huge win. Huge 3 points. Our biggest games against Real Madrid. And I feel like this gives us a little bit of calm going into April. And that first week of April gives us a lot of rest into this Dortmund match. So, Visca Barça, if you guys are watching too, subscribe. I'm close to 20,000 subscribers. I think I'm going to hit it today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. Let's go, baby. I was pumped. I think I did circles around my chair after we scored that.